All right. Good afternoon, coaches. Thank you for joining us. This is our third session of this series. As a reminder, this is an initiative that some of the more experienced coaches have gotten together and decided to share their knowledge with those of you that are starting or are thinking about starting your coaching business. So every month we have 1 hour with one of the coaches that are sharing their expertise and hopefully is helping some of you to think about what actions, what options you have to start your business. I think some of you were able to make it to the happy hour we had last week. So thank you to Robin and the team for organizing that. That was a wonderful networking event. I left early, but I know a lot of you were still there till the end. I saw some nice pictures. As a reminder, we meet once a month virtually in this platform in Zoom to be able to get together and learn from each other. It's, the coaches that lead these sessions either share slides or just ask questions or answer questions from the audience, whatever works best for that session. But today we have a presenter, Miss Michela Millis Rucker, who will be showing us or sharing with us this topic of failing forward in your coaching business. So without further ado, Michelle, I invite you to introduce yourself and take it away.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm so excited to see you all here today to discuss this. Do not feel because you see slides in front of you that you cannot chat, come off mute. We are an intimate group of folks who are coaches. So, we're here to talk. I just wanted to kind of land some slides with you for some points. I'm just going to do 5. There's numerous failing forwards I've done in building my coach's business, but for the sake of time, I'm focusing on 5 today to allow us to kind of dive into those and to also allow you to kind of focus in on those. So who's in the room? First, let me tell you about me. So I am Michelle Redbird Millis Rucker. The Redbird is my Native American name, as I share African American and Native American ancestry. And I was given that name by my grandfather who lived on the reservation at birth. The beautiful butterfly you see, which is in front of you and behind me, is the logo for my business called Transforming Our Practice, which I literally started in 2012, but I didn't get an LLC until 2017. I continued working and trying to do a business at the same time. And so that's the logo for the business. As you can also see, here are some of my certifications. I'm very proud to be a ICF ACC, almost a PCC, working on that right now. As you know, that takes a lot of hours. So anybody who is there or about to be there or going into the other distinction of MCC, I give you a lot of credits, a lot of hours. These are some other things that I'm a member of, and I'll go a little bit into those a little bit later. Today, before I became an ACC, I'm a master certified professional coach. I'm a certified Lego Series play facilitator, a veteran, and I'm a diehard Jets fan. So how diehard? I started watching with the Sack Exchange. So anybody who knows anything about football knows that was some time ago without giving away my age. So I am a diehard fan. It's going to be your turn now with the help of my ICF colleague. We're going to put you in breakout rooms, probably in 2s, and you're going to introduce yourself, so your name and where you're zooming in from. Give a brief coaching story like I just did. How long have you been coaching? Do you have a coaching business? Where are you at in your coaching business? Any of that. And then something interesting that most people don't know about yourself, right? Share something there that you don't usually share with people. if it's not too personal, but something that is like, hey, I climbed my Mount Everest, or something like that, but something interesting. So hopefully within a few seconds, you're going to be put into those breakout rooms. And we'll see you back in 5 minutes. So that gives you each 2.5 minutes to be succinct with your introduction.
Michelle, I think I did that right.
It looks like there's one other participant, but maybe that's one of the coaches that's still here. But I think you did good.
So I yeah, so I did three. I made the mistake. I did three people in each breakout room,
That's
Michelle.
okay. Then just give an extra minute on the time, or an extra 2 minutes, so that they can each get about 2.5 minutes to do. So
Okay,
I'd say instead of the 5 minutes, do 7.
got it.
Bring them back. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't see the option of, but I know we started at 12:09.
Yeah. And there's a
Um,
way to bring them back, right? You could just say, bring everybody back. You saw that? Bring everybody back to the main room.
it says close all rooms.
Yeah, then you could do that. Yep.
That's the option I have.
Yep.
Perfect. And it gives me this is good that you're giving me exposure to this, because at some point I'm gonna have to do this myself. So that's good
Yeah.
that I'm practicing this.
Yeah. No worries.
And that broadcast button, that's if I want to announce to all the breakout rooms
Yeah,
when
you can
they have like,
actually send a message, hey, you're coming back in 30 seconds, or yep. Yeah. Isn't that pretty cool?
that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Love it, love it. The only thing I don't see is if I have any new, oh yeah, I can see if I have new participants wanting to join. So,
But I wouldn't let them in till we're coming back, because I don't know how. Do you know? Because then the timing, maybe putting them in a room, they wouldn't know what's going on. So just hold them until, yeah.
but there's no one. Yeah, there's no
Oh,
one.
okay. Okay. I mean, we got 13 people or 10. That's not bad. I don't know
Yeah,
how many, I don't know how many people signed up, but that's not bad.
that's not bad at
Yeah.
all.
Normally, if it's 25, you get 10,
Right.
So
I love that background. Your butterfly.
thank you. I forgot it was there. I was like, I haven't used this. Let me use it. I need to get it where it says somebody can minimize it for me, and then I could put my business name up there, in between the two wings. I just couldn't do it because this is the actual logo that I got made. And I didn't tell them to put, but I think I can get it where I can get my name, get the business name in there. So that would be awesome. Or get it over it, like bring it to the front.
You can I've done that, and that's what I wanted to use, but I couldn't manage to do it now. But I did that
Mhm.
with Canva.
Okay. And then
So you
save it.
you
Yeah, I love
pull
Canva.
yeah, you pull your logo into Canva, and
Uh,
then you add text to it,
yeah.
and it
Okay.
it it will, yeah. If
Okay,
I
I'm gonna try that. Let me put that
Yeah,
in Canva for logo and biz name. I love Canva, but I didn't know it could do it. But if it can, that'll be great.
oh, I see. I had to move. Oh no, I moved somebody because they were by themselves, because you were supposed to be.
Oh, I didn't go in with them. Yeah, so they were sitting by themselves in a room. Oh, give them. I would say give another minute and then bring everybody back because that's about time. But maybe that last person you just moved, maybe they'll get a chance to talk. Hopefully.
Oh, I think I moved. Yeah, I moved somebody out of a room, but okay, I'll apologize.
Don't worry about it. No worries. No worries.
And now I have someone waiting. Should
Yeah.
I?
So go ahead and close out all rooms, and then you can let the other person in.
You want me to close all rooms now?
Yeah, close it all out, and then yep, and then let the other person. So
Oh,
everybody should start coming back.
oh, everybody has been given 60 seconds to
That's
join.
fine. That's fine. Yep. That's usually how it does, so it's not abrupt, so you don't just throw them back in.
And I think Maria Anita has joined us, but I don't know if we can see her on the. Yes, she hasn't activated video, so that's why we can't see her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they should be coming. People are might be. Yep, here they are coming back. Okay, great.
Yeah, they're coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost everyone is back. And I had to apologize to a couple of you because I moved someone from one room to the other, and that was not my intention. My apologies, but I hope you were able to introduce everybody to in your group. So, Michela, yours again.
Yeah, thank you so much. If anybody would be willing to either come off mute or put in the chat something they heard that was interesting about someone else that they met today in the room, I would love to hear and love for you to share. Anyone heard anything interesting from someone they met in while they were in the breakout room? Oh, somebody has a chat. And Cindy was married in India. Oh, awesome, Cindy. I was married in Vegas. Well, this is the second time, and I said next time I was going to get married at a fun location. So Vegas was fun to me. But that's awesome, Cindy. Thank you, Clinton, for sharing.
Michelle, the one thing that I picked up on is, and this is a theme that I've seen with other coaches too, is how the corporate environment is a great ground to learn about oneself to then step into coaching.
Yeah, thank you so much. That is so true. William lives in Houston, typically works in San Antonio, and today is in Plano. That's the Texas trifecta. Yes, it is. I just relocated from Texas, so I know that is a trifecta. Awesome. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
I'll share one more.
Sure.
Another observation, just like Chris, I think many of us have, this is our second careers. So Susan Hodge and I share the fact that we were both in finance. I'm a CPA and she was a financial executive, and we switched over to coaching.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And that's a trend. Like people are in one place and they take that and then pivot and parlay to coaching. Thank you so much. And then Sandra saying, my partner took the positive intelligence training to the next level and is advanced certified. Awesome. Congratulations to your partner, Sandra. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody that came off mute and also shared in the chat. Always nice to hear some interesting things, celebrations, travel, exploration, and learnings that we get through interacting with each other. So now I'm going to get right into it. Before I do, though, let me define fail forward. And so I would love for anyone who feels like reading today to actually come off mute and read this definition that I have borrowed because I feel it's the most appropriate for the definition. Anybody who feels like reading today, we want to make sure that those who read and also who learn through listening get an opportunity for the auditory.
I can read it.
Thank you.
Failing forward refers to the acceptance of failure as a stepping stone to future success. To fail forward means that you have chosen to respect each failure for the lessons it teaches you, and to apply those lessons to future efforts, even if those efforts may also fail.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for reading. Thank you. So yeah, exactly that. It's not anything major, is that failing forward is a term meaning you made some mistakes, but you learned from them that propelled you forward to success. At the bottom of this slide, you see some wonderful books. At the end, there's a podcast with Henry Geijben. And so I invite you to tap into any of those books. They're all great and wonderful. And if you're a listener of podcasts as well as reading or just one or the other, there's a podcast for you. So with that definition, I'm going to get into some things that I learned, 5 different things that I call fail forward. Now, they weren't necessarily per se mistakes, but they were things that I might have been told by when I started my business by someone who was already had their coaching business or experienced business person or mentor, and didn't work out for me. So I did something differently, or I learned from it, or there were some things that were mistakes, but I've learned from them or used to my advantage. All right. So the first one is, and I'll explain because I'm not putting the words, I will at the end, and I'm sure you're going to get a copy of this presentation. But the first one literally is, I was told, do not do any pro bono. Now, of course, as an ICF coach, you do a combination, et cetera, when you submit your coaching application for your credential. But I want to share with you that I did pro bono for a year. And I did pro bono for a year because, firstly, when I was trying to get my hours, I was not in a context where I could gain coaching. So I didn't have any clients yet, or I actually call them coachees. I didn't have coachees yet, but what I did have was a network of folks that I was asking. Originally, I started with my husband and friends, then colleagues, and grew from there. So for me, how I fell forward in that capacity is I got lots of testimonials from folks before I even started my business that I leveraged to get coachees for paying. I found when building my business, folks were like, first of all, they didn't know what coaching was. I often had to spend a lot of time explaining to them with education the difference between coaching and therapy, or coaching and mentoring, and coaching and consulting. And so that pro bono allowed me to do that. It allowed me to build stamina because prior to this business, I have a nonprofit, and that's totally different than a for-profit business. So I have to be honest, when I first started my business in 2012, I didn't have my LLC yet, but I was just kind of lucky. I got a contract, not for coaching, but for some other work right away. And I was like, oh, this is easy. And then after that contract dried up in 30 days, I was like literally scrounging around for work. So I had to go back to a job. So it helped me to build stamina before I was actually, like I could say, in business, a thriving coaching business. Because I did pro bono work with some major organizations, I was able to get contracts because they're looking at past performance. And I was able to have those organizations speak to my work ethic, to my coaching, return on investment, and those folks were able to give me contracts because of it. And then I was able to build my coaching roster because those pro bono hours that I did with folks, those folks actually vouched for me or said, hey, Michelle was a great coach, you should talk to her. So to me, pro bono, there's people who say a lot of things about it, depends on how much, but I used it as a way to leverage building my coaching business brand and reputation. The second one is, I was told select a niche and stick with it, right? But to be honest, I failed at that miserably because when I started my business, I had between now and then, I've had at least 5 to 6, 7 to 8 different niches. I just didn't know exactly where to land with my niche. I started with trauma informed coach, then I was a leadership coach, and I was taking on everybody who could be a leader, even youth. And I just had a lot of different ideas about my niche because I was like, okay, I'm a certified coach now. Let me just start coaching without really thinking about who my coachees would be. I've come so full circle now with my niche based on my passion and knowledge, not so much profitability, even though that's on there. For me, that means, can I make money at it? And that depends on your level of making money. Everybody has different monetary goals, but I think more importantly, what you're passionate about and what you have knowledge in, which a lot of us have a lot of different knowledge bases, but one that gives you joy and you really can speak to it in a way that is purposeful. And so now my niche is specifically K through 12 leaders and university leaders because I have 20 plus years in the education space. So I know it like my eyes closed. And I'm passionate about it because I want to be able to change the trajectory of education through the work that I do. Sometimes you can find a niche within a niche. So don't feel like it has to be this overarching thing, it has to be women. Maybe it's a certain type of women. Women who are reinventing themselves, women who are retiring, men who are retiring. Literally, I was trying to get my husband a coach because when he retired, he just basically said, I want rocking chair. And I was like, okay, I think you need a coach, hubby, because the retirement today, you still got to do something, volunteering or something. My point being is you might have a niche within a niche. And then I love this quote of nothing is oversaturated. Find your niche and stick to it. There's a lot of people doing a lot of different things. Some are specialty. I met a pregnancy coach the other day and I was like, wow, that's interesting. I guess they need coaches too. But that was really a expertise that's interesting. And then there's some that like, oh, I just coach men, and so, but find it, stick to it. Don't feel like it's oversaturated. If you are passionate and knowledgeable about what you do, the coachees will follow. So number 3 is when I started my coaching business, I was thought that just coaching would sustain me financially. I want to be honest, from my experience, it takes a while to get to whatever financial threshold you're trying to build with a coaching business. Even the value, like when I first started, what I was charging to now having some years into my business is vastly different. And that vast difference is mainly because of time experience. I've gotten some more certifications. I've done some more things to increase my value and net worth around my coaching. So I say what I fell for initially was I just coached when I could have been doing other things. So now I supplement the coaching because I'm not at a place yet where coaching is just enough for me financially. So I do facilitation. It says consulting, but literally I call myself a thought partner. It's a different way of thinking about working with people. I do leadership development, and I'm also a scholar activist because my ultimate goal is to normalize coaching. Y'all may remember that show Oprah did where she said, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. I say, you get a coach, you get a coach, you get a coach. Everybody gets a coach, right? No matter where you are, if you're in the beginning of the company or just starting out, right? Entry level all the way up to the CEO and owners, everyone gets a coach. And my work that I do, everything that I say supplements my one-to-one group or team coaching, all ends up leading back to coaching. Because as a scholar activist, I've had folks say, oh, you've done research about coaching, which I'm working on my dissertation, which is about coaching. And they say, oh, you're a coach, that could be a potential coachee. Same with the leadership development, and I'm working with large school districts and universities. They find out I coach, and then I end up getting coachees, and the same thing with facilitation. So it all may lead back to coaching. So don't be afraid to supplement. So the fourth one is, when I started my business, literally there was no one that I felt could help me. Mind you, I wasn't an ICF coach yet, and I hadn't done that official coaching. I've been a coach for about 20 years. I started as an instructional coach in K through 12 schools. Then I became a leadership coach. Then I was an equity coach, all in schools. And then when I left out of school ecosystems and went into what we call leaning into school, so I don't work for a school, but I come in and work with them, I was by myself. And I just thought, this is what you do as a solopreneur. You work, you don't have any support. You just have to figure it out. Well, within the last 5 years, I did some things. So the first thing I did was join ICF, right? And that gave me an instant network of folks that I could lean into, reach out to, call to, learn from. And I would suggest you do the same and join a chapter. I actually belong to 2. My previously in Austin chapter was the secretary of our chapter. Now I'm working with development with North Florida chapter, and I'm a member of another chapter. Get involved. Don't just join, because there's a lot of ways to learn from other coaches, as well as get some benefits and perks from it. So literally, because I'm a member of this chapter, I'm considering doing a podcast. And there's somebody that's giving away free podcast lessons now, only because I'm a member of this chapter. I'm like, okay, so there's a perk, free, and it's amazing training. Get your own coach. I just did that a few months ago, getting my own coach who helps me see beyond myself and helps me to really visionize what I'm trying to do, offers resources, but just another person, another thought partner. Join a coaching support group. These are all coaches that are, I belong to, that are around the world, who are all going through this together, and we just support each other. Sometimes it's just, how you doing? How you feeling? How you making out? It's not always about resources, just somebody else that you can reach out to. Attend a coaching retreat. I just came back in November from Bordeaux, France, where I was in a coaching retreat. Yeah, it was amazing. With a MCC coach, who I was very happy. There were other coaches, about 10 of us, not including the facilitator, that came from all around the world. I had somebody from England, some from the States, and we were there enjoying Bordeaux, a lot of wine, a lot of cheese, but a lot of fun, but more importantly, learning from each other. And now that is another network that I can tap into. Join a community of practice. There are a coaching community of practice where you can practice your skill sets, get feedback from peers you respect. And I think that's really important to say, because if you're here, you're ICF coaching, you want to make sure it's in alignment with ICF standards and ethics. Within a community of practice, you can do that. And I know ICF has some community of practices that you can join. Join an affinity group. So I'm part of the Forbes Coaches Council, but I also lead a BIPOC Coach Connect, which is affinity for coaches of color. and I just facilitate that exchange and network group. And then I also belong to BIPOC Coach Collective, which is all coaches of color. And we come together once a month to discuss problem of practice and resources and just lifting each other up. So like this quote says, we're very strong as solopreneurs because we decided to do this. But be smart enough to know when you need help and brave enough to ask for it. There's a lot of things out here to help you. All right, number 5 and the final one is this quote that I wholly believe in, which is we must take time to define our own path. Too quickly, we can find the world defining it for us. So let me talk to you about that. When I started my business, there was I call it a lot of noise around me to tell me, you need to do this, you need to do that, etc. A big one was you need to have social media presence and, get your brand out there, your social media marketing, etc. If I want to be transparent to everybody just on this call, I'm not a social media person. It's just not my thing. Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm barely on Instagram. And Facebook is a mirror in the background, probably back in high school when, friends were trying to reach you for reunions. But I only use LinkedIn for connecting. Something I see grabs my attention. There's somebody that's doing something interesting, but I don't do any advertising of my work. And I found that because for me, that's not the way I network. All my coachees have come from networks and personal relationships. None have come from any social media at all. And I'm very proud of that because that's my style. I'm literally grassroots. I will be knocking on your door, sending emails, and keep calling you until you say, hey, I've decided I don't want to work with you, whatever. That's worked for me. And also referral, having folks just say, hey, I've worked with Michelle and I think you should work with her too. So I'm not here to say if that's what you lean into, that's what you believe. But the point I'm saying is take your path, choose your path to define how you want to build your business. Don't let other folks do that because I spent a lot of money, I think, in the beginning of my business on social media that I know went wasted. I took courses, I did something on funnels, all this stuff. And I was like, I'm lost and confused because this doesn't jive with who I am. My way of cultivating clients and my coachees, contracts, other work I do, all come from networks and referrals. None come from social media. So craft your path. Don't let anybody else get in your ear. Don't let the noise tell you should be doing. You decide what you should do. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, it's okay. There's a lot of different paths you can take. Don't feel like that's the only one. And I think the other thing is take your time when it says define your own path. Yeah, it's taken me a long time to have a thriving coaching business. I started not really in 2012. That was more facilitation. But in 2017, when I got my LLC, that was, I would say, more serious. And then I literally just last year, to be 2 years this August, quit my 6-figure job to pursue this full time. I had to get there. Literally, I had, benefits, mortgage, car payments, a life to live. And so you have to decide when. I'm not here to tell you, like I've had an entrepreneur tell me, if you're really a entrepreneur, you should just full force quit everything. Well, for me, that meant I would have to live in a tent. I wasn't ready to do that. For some of you, maybe. I got some savings, married, and my husband sold some houses. He was like, babe, we're in a financial position where you can go ahead and put it in the business. So I took time to do it. But mind you, there's even a shelf life on that. That savings is not going to last forever. I'm a young woman. So you have to decide what's right for you. Don't let the world and the noise and other people decide your path. There's people who have done it. Hey, I just went out and sold everything and that has worked for them. And there's people like, I incrementally built it to where I could then do this. So I really want to hear from you guys about your ways that you failed forward in coaching business. But here are the 5 things that I listed that you'll be able to see, because they weren't at the headings, but because I didn't want you to get distracted by those. I wanted you to lean into those pictures and kind of make some visual representations. But right now I want to come off. I've left quite a bit of time to hear from you so that we could talk about this. I'm actually going to stop sharing. This is going to be sent to you so I know you can tap into, but I'll also copy and paste my contact information because I love to keep in touch. I love to hear other people's stories and experiences, whether it's failing forward or just something great you found and you want to share with the coaching community. So I'm going to stop sharing and open it up for us to just have a regular conversation about any of these things that resonated with you, any questions you have for me, or anything like that.
Hey, Michelle, thank you for sharing. And as you're sharing, I'm picking up how you're standing in your authenticity and how your radiance comes through the call as you get used to this group. So I received that. And as such, the last point that you mentioned, point 5, I think is so key. And I'm in that process myself where I don't do social media. I do LinkedIn. I do LinkedIn, yes, but I don't have Instagram and all those things. And it's trusting your own rhythm, right? It's your own rhythm. I think I'll move into social media to an extent, but whenever the time is right and I feel authentic in harnessing that technology to spread my message or my identity. But my frame now is I've done my work. I know who I am, and I will attract the right clients as they show up. So yeah, thank you for reiterating that message, because although I can speak it like this and I believe in it, there are still moments where I flip back to, the rational mind needs to have a funnel and all that other noise, so to say.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris, for sharing that. And I'm so glad you're talking about the rhythm. The rhythm is you. Like you're being comfortable and what's right for you. There's no right way to start a business, and there's no wrong way, apparently, because you can fail from it. If we think about some of those who are very wealthy in this coaching business, they have tons of stories to share with you of failure. So the other part of the failure is when you learn from it, you know what, I'm not going to do that. So yes, I've been hearing people say, yeah, social media, the funnels, etc. And then when I say, but I don't use that, sometimes I get face of shock, like, really? How do you get clients? Like, I get it a different way. I'm not saying anything against your way, but that doesn't work for me. And I'm not really that comfortable with that sort of that selling mentality. I don't feel like I'm selling. As a coach, I have something valuable to offer you. You want to embark on that journey with me? I'm here. If not, see me when you're ready. But I think you're right, Chris. You have to be in your authentic self to say that and push back against that when you have a lot of folks sending messages the other way, like, oh, but you need a funnel and you needed this and you needed that and you need that. You should be sending out 5 emails, blah, blah, blah. And literally, I'm saying in that tone because that's how it comes to you. I open up my email and it's like 30 emails of sales stuff for my business. So yeah, thank you so much, Chris, for sharing.
Hi, everyone. This is Dolan. Just to piggyback off of what Chris said and one of the points that you made earlier around niche. So I've been on this journey since the beginning of this year, opening up my own business. And, right at the beginning, I was always stressed about finding your niche, finding your niche. And, that's always something I'm being told, like, you got to know and really hone down. And it was interesting, like a couple months ago, I had a chat with one of my mentors. And she said something to me that I was like, I just took a deep breath and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so true. She's like, Dola, don't worry about finding your niche. Your niche will find you. And it really resonated with me because what I realized is whatever pro bono work I did this year, even the 1 or 2 clients I got, it was really, there was a theme of who I was attracting. And it is kind of that evolution and taking your time with it, and is what my mentor, what she shared with me. She's like, people are on this rat race to find a niche and to market and brand and do content management. She's like, it will come with time. And so that's my lesson learned this year, among many, that resonated with me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dolan, for sharing. I think that is a critical point. I love that your mentor told you the niche will find you, because that's sort of what happened to me. I was doing opposite work, because I was doing executive coaching for corporate folks, so doctors, lawyers, etc. And there was something in my spirit like, why am I doing this? Not that I didn't know these people, right? Because there were leaders, but the point of it is I hadn't worked with those leaders, and I do believe that there was a different dynamic that I wasn't giving them that they probably needed from someone who had been doing that work. I accidentally fell into the K through 12 leaders at university. I'm like, why am I doing that? Because that's where I come from. That's what I've been doing for the last 20 something years. And it felt so natural to do that when I'm talking to them. I have experiences to share, instant rapport. It was just a lot easier. So literally last month, I ended those contracts with those corporate folks. They asked me why, and I said it doesn't align with the coaching that I'm doing right now, but thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. So I think we have to be brave enough to do that. I needed some cash flow in the beginning. So they were like, yeah, but eventually, as you say, the niche came to me, and I was like, I have to do this work because this is the work that gets me out of bed every day.
I have a comment. Thank you so much for all the previous comments and for all what you shared. To me, I think one of the strategic key steps is really identify from the current pool of people we have worked with, or like the pro bono, clients we may have had, and create an ask. Because, an ask has to be made at some point in time, as a business. So whether we do it social media wise, person to person wise, it's all just natural, what comes normal. So I just wanted to get your experience about, the first ask. I mean, do you create a, because we all have our contacts that are potential clients. And is it wise or better to just pick a client that we know that we can be beneficial for, our services are beneficial for, and then go and do the ask? I wanted to get your experience or anyone else's experience on that first ask.
Yeah, is your name pronounced Uzma? I want to make sure I say it correct. Okay, thank you.
Yes,
so
thank you.
Yeah, Uzma, thank you so much for that. That's a great question. And from my experience, my ask eventually came to me. So when I was doing pro bono, there was a particular coachee that I was working with, and actually she was somebody from my K through 12 network. And she actually was my first paying coachee. So after the first session, I said, okay, I think we need to do a contract, because she needed to first have that experience, make sure it aligned, we do all that. I do some she did our first coaching session. And then I sent a follow-up email and said, hey, I'd love to be able to send you my contract. And she said, oh, I'm not ready for that contract yet. Well, I was early on in building my business, so we did a couple more coaching sessions. She still paid, but I never got to the ask because she kept pushing against it. And eventually she did not become my coachee. The next person I got was like, okay, I'd like to do coaching because you did coaching with so-and-so, another person. And right away I sent a contract. So I had learned from the last person, no, I'm not going to keep waiting. I need to send this contract and get this sealed before I begin working. So but it didn't come from me from directly asking like I did with that person, because that didn't work out. But subsequently, I've done that right away. Before we start any signing up for a block of coaching sessions, one or whatever it is that you're negotiating, I right away say we need to do a contract so that we get locked in. So I think that when you say your ask, it depends on the situation. There's some folks who are going to push against it, and I think for her it was because we were friends and colleagues. So literally, I asked her, and she said she was kind of offended that I said I want to do a contract. Well, this is a business, man. We're friends and colleagues, but it's still a business. I need to get paid. I need to eat. So we need to do. So for me, I learned that right away. I do a contract so they know. It's not really what I say and ask, because I'm not asking you. I'm saying if we're doing business together, you need to sign this contract. If not, you had a chance to learn what coaching is, what my coaching style and philosophy is, and if it's not going to work out, that's fine. But before we move forward, I need this in writing, because if not, this is not now a business. I'm sort of just doing whatever. And so I think you have to really think about how, who, and the approach, because there's some folks I've turned away. Like I'm not the right coach for you. And initially, when you're doing some assessment, you might get to that point. I think in the beginning, I probably took all coaches on, even a pro bono, because I wanted the experience. But now I'm very discerning about where I spend my coaching time. There are folks that are looking for therapy. There are folks that are looking for a consultant. There are folks that are looking for a mentor. And I make clear when I do my pre-session, I'm not doing any of that in coaching. That's a totally different thing. I do thought partnering if you want to do that. But I don't mix the two. I don't mix coaching and thought partnering. I don't mix those. Those are different dynamics and a different person that comes to you. So I think when you think about ask, you have to think about all those things that go with it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank
sorry.
you. No, thank you for going deeper into that, because exactly, like as being academicians and other professions, we have these organizations that are potential clients, but they could be a client as a consultant first, but now it's a coaching service.
Exactly.
So it's a different service being provided. And many times people can tag on to current, okay, just coach along with consult. So important to kind of be very, very clear about so thanks a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Sandra, you had your hand up.
Yeah, Susan, but I just wanted to affirm what you said. It's important to make it clear that you are in business. And as you say, what business? Coaching versus consulting, and doing that, getting that clear up front. I did mine just a little bit differently, but it was a style that suited me. I have where people can sign up for what I call a coaching discovery call. And there might be people that, not very many find me on the internet. Well, that's not true. But anyways, wherever they find me, I still send them the link, and they signed up for a coaching discovery call, which is about 20 to 30 minutes. And it's the typical exploration. What are your goals? What do I do? What are you looking for, to see if it's a match? But I was early on very uncomfortable with the ask. And I actually did get some training in how, even though I had been at one point in my life, I'd been a banker. So I had been more accustomed to selling those kinds of things. But making the ask was, I learned, it can be a very specific process. And in the first few, it's kind of like you kind of suck your stomach in and you breathe deep and you do it and hope that they're going to say yes. But I did take a specific training to learn how to close the sale. And every coaching discovery call that I now have, if it's someone I want to work with, ends up with an ask.
Thanks, Susan. Sandra.
Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing your story. And I was thinking about, how much you invested in your business. And then you had this point where you said, okay, I'm jumping off, leaving my full-time gig and launching my coaching business. And so I was curious about your experience building a business plan, because, I've gone on the internet and gotten the categories, and I have a business plan. I think it's fine. I do strategic planning, so I don't want to hire someone to work on it, but I would love to see an example, even if it's like 10 years old. And so I'm just wondering how you did yours.
So if I say I didn't do a business plan, Sandra, you're not going to be upset, but I didn't. I literally didn't do a business plan. I just went into business. Now, some might say that's a failure, but it worked for me. And I'm gonna tell you why it worked for me, because my degrees are in business. I have a bachelor's and a master's, in business and management. For my nonprofit, because I have a nonprofit also, I did do a business plan. But for this, I just jumped into it because I was like, it's coaching. I already know how to do this. I've been coaching for 30 years. So I just jumped right into it, no business plan. I think over the years, I've added pieces that may have come now to a business plan, but initially I didn't start with one. That's not to say you shouldn't, because if you feel that's your vehicle and process for building your business, then that's fine. My business was built through trial and error. That's really how it was built. Trial and error. I put out a shingle that said I'm a coach. And I started coaching. I didn't think about charging, because remember, I did a year of pro bono. I didn't think about any of those things. How website, none of that. I just literally just got a website in 5 years ago. So I wasn't doing any of those things. But I would say you have to decide, once again, choose the path that works for you. It worked for me because I ended up failing forward into a thriving coaching business because I kind of just kept on. But I also kept my job for a period of time. So I always had a net. And I want to say, Sandra, if I didn't have my job and didn't have a net, I probably would have started with a business plan, because I would have been like, I need 90 days or whatever amount of time of savings I had to start money coming in, or else I'm not going to have a business. So I think that business plan is fine if that's your path. But for me, that's not what I chose. But thank you.
I just want to add to that,
yeah.
if that's okay. I couldn't agree with you more. I didn't have a business plan either when I started a few years ago, and I'm at sort of at your level in the sense that I'm almost a PCC, so it's been quite a few hours that I've been able to work on. But I just really wanted to again appreciate the last point that you made about, even more than a business plan, just taking that time out again to define your own path. I think this is just such a great reminder to all of us, because in essence, this is a self-discovery process for us. It's what we offer our clients, but we're also working on it for ourselves. I also didn't develop my website early on, or my social media practice early on, because I was like, well, what do I even say to that? I haven't walked my talk. I haven't developed or found myself, or even understood my strengths to know what my passion and purpose is, and who I want to work with. So I believe, and to corroborate what you said, that taking that time, and I really want to emphasize time, which requires patience in getting to know yourself and defining the path, I think is the number one, sort of big step, or a series of small steps in our journey.
Is it pronounced Roshmi?
Roshmi.
Roshmi, thank you so much for sharing that. And I could not agree more with that. Find what works for you, your path, your journey, your passion. I literally now try not to think of this as a business. I think of it as the work I do that I love. Like, literally, I don't even go to bed. I'm in the bed, like I was telling my husband this morning. He said, how'd you sleep? I was thinking about some coaching moves, or for a coachee I'm working with. That's the excitement I get, right? So when money comes in my account, I'm like, that's awesome, because I'm doing what I love. Tammy, you had your hand up. You're on mute, Tammy.
Okay, sorry. You talked about supplementing your income while you're doing your coaching business. And I just wondered, because I know you'd mentioned some things, so you may have to repeat it, but did you find that those things that you were supplementing with, did they coincide along with coaching, or was it something completely different? Because somebody's like, well, you could teach until you get things going. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's like starting a whole new career. So just wondered what your thoughts were on that, or what you have experienced.
Yeah, so that's a good question, Tammy. So literally, I have a business. It's called Transforming Our Practice. In that business, I'm a transformational leadership coach. I am a facilitator. I'm a thought partner, a scholar activist. Okay. Those are all the things that I do. Right. And they all lead into my business. They all connect to each other. So my scholar activist is, I'm a doctoral student who is doing research on leadership coaching. That's still feeding into coaching because folks have come from universities that want me to be their coach. Okay. Facilitation, I'm getting ready to do a PBL in Hawaii, which is awesome. And those are teachers that now, because of finding out what I do, besides this facilitation, may end up being my coachees. They all feed into each other, I think. You can be a teacher, instructor, professor, any of those, and it may lead into that because any of those spaces, I believe, are potential coachees.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Michelle, I don't think we have any more questions. 1 minute before the top of the hour. I think on behalf of everybody here, we want to really thank you for all the wonderful insights you share with us today. It's been a very informative session. So hopefully everyone feels the same way. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for attending. We will be sharing the recording through the emails that we get, the newsletters that we get from ICF Houston, and join us next month for another interesting and engaging topic. And happy holidays to everyone. See you in 2024.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Michelle. Bye.